What's going on, everybody? King of Dragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the Mattel WWE Elite Collection Series 55, Neville, the King of the Cruiserweights. What we're going to do now is take a little break, get this guy opened up, and then we'll have the better look at the King of the Cruiserweights himself, so stick around, everyone. And so here we have Neville posing out of the packaging. Now, before we get onto the figure, let's have a look at what he comes with. He does come with a flight stand that can attach to the post of your Elite Scale ring, which looks really nice. It is made of a translucent plastic. His other accessory is the Cruiserweight title. Now, this is the exact same title that we've seen in the past. We've got it with TJ Perkins and then again with Rich Swann, and now we get it with the King of the Cruiserweights himself. So it's a really nice belt. I do like it. Other than that, he doesn't come with any other accessories, so let's actually move on to Neville's details. And so here we have a better look at Neville, and I have to say, they did a really good job on this face sculpt. It really does look like Neville, and say what you will about his ears, he does have big ears, but overall, this is a really impressive head sculpt, and I'm really surprised at how well it is. Now, I do have a few issues with the head. Number one, it sits really low on the torso. It's a really easy fix. Just put a cotton ball at the top of his head, reattach his head, and then it will sit a little higher up. It is a little unfortunate, but he does look a little squatty because he doesn't have a neck. Second issue I have with the head is that it is one solid piece. Now, his hair is not a separate piece like you would expect from a long hair figure. They actually sculpted his head as one singular piece, so his hair isn't as flexible as you think. It's not glued on, it's actually part of the sculpt, so if you try to force it, you can probably break it, and you can see there is a little bit of flesh-colored paint peeking through. That is unfortunate, especially because this is the King of the Cruiserweights we're talking about, and you can even see there's a little bit of paint right here on his shoulder, or traps. But other than that, he's still a really nice looking figure for the most part. There are some issues I have with it. Number one is that his proportions seem a little off. I don't know if it's because Mattel doesn't have a smaller ripped torso than this one. But if you were to actually see him, his legs look really short in comparison to his torso. Add to it, his arms don't seem to match how ripped his torso is, and I don't know, it just feels like there's so much more that this figure could be. Unfortunately, we didn't get it. But he's a really nice figure still. There's just one more issue I have with it, and I'll talk about it when we get to it. His wristbands are really nicely painted. No paint issues that I can see for the most part. His tights are really well done, although his actual ring gear, this should have been a lighter gold, but it still looks nice, and I'm pretty sure they did it just because we have a lighter gold here, and it would have just blended too much, so I do forgive it. We have his logo up here in the front. And now the big issue I have with this figure, and it's not just me, it's a lot of people in general. These thighs look ugly. There's no other way to put it. These are terrible. Now, it is not this way on all the Neville figures. There are some Neville figures that have flesh-colored plastic with the black painted on. Unfortunately for me, I got one where the thighs are painted flesh color, and under these harsh lights, it looks really, really terrible. There's no reason why Mattel should be painting flesh tone over black. It just doesn't look right. Especially on a part like the thighs. It's okay on the torso because there will be designs on it, but this looks terrible. I have to give Mattel a thumbs down on that one. Normally they do such a good job, but this is unacceptable. His knee pads are done really well, and I don't know, part of me feels like if they were going to do this, they should have gone with a bigger knee pads, but who am I to say? Going on to his kick pads, no more intricate designs, it's just a flat kick pad, which I'm a little sad about that they went ahead and changed Neville's kick pads. So that's Neville for you. What we're going to do now is actually compare him to a few other figures that you may have in your collection. And here we have Neville posed next to TJ Perkins and Rich Swann, other cruiserweights you may have in your collection, who have all come with the cruiserweight title. Don't know what it is, but they're really shelling this title out to every cruiserweight in the division, it seems. But really loving the scale between these two, and you can actually see what I mean. The torso on Neville seems a bit big. I don't know what it is. Now that you guys can see him in full, there is some issues with him, which there's so many ways they could have gone about this figure, but there's really nothing I can do about it now. Moving on to Neville's articulation, he does have the standard Elite articulation. He has a ball-jointed head, which can look straight, sadly, can look down, but his hair will automatically push his head back up. You can try to force it, but I wouldn't, because the hair, like I said, is sculpted to the head, so you can break his hair if you try forcing it. Neck does turn left and right, although, again, advise against it because of the way his hair is designed. I don't know why they didn't just make his hair a separate piece. That would have been much better. Arms go out to about that far. Do a full 360. Swivel at the bicep. Single jointed at the elbow. Spins and bends at the wrist. No problems, and it's the same for both arms. He does have an ab crunch which goes back to about that far. Forward about that far. Swivel at the waist. Legs go forward, back, and out. Pretty good distance. He swivels at the thigh. He is double jointed in the knee. No issues there. Swivels at the kick pad. Has a hinge in the ankle which goes back and forward, but it's really tight going forward, but it does go forward. And then we have rocker ankle. So overall, still really nice figure to have, and I'm really glad to have a Neville in my collection. So what we're going to do now is take a little break, get him posed for my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this review. So sit tight, everyone. So here we have the King of the Cruiserweights posed for my final thoughts, and overall I really do like this figure. Although I do have issues with it, it's still a nice figure. They could have really made the thighs flesh color and given him a neck. I know Neville is a really big guy, kinda, sorta, not really, but he does still have a neck. Other than that, I can look over the hair and the thighs, because he's still a really nice figure, and I never found a Neville out in the wild until I went to Target. I found Neville at Target, and he is running about $19.99 at Target. I know Walmart carries them a little cheaper, but I haven't seen a Neville. This was the first time I had ever seen him, so I had to add him to my collection. If you can find Neville, definitely pick him up. You're going to need him in your Cruiserweight collection, because what is your Cruiserweight division without the King of the Cruiserweights? With that being said, guys, I'm KingofDragons 5000. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. Go check out all my other action figure reviews as well as all my other WWE videos. Hopefully you guys find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you would like to see me review, let me know down in the comments. And if it fits in my collection, I'll definitely have a look at it. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.